Hey guys, just wanted to make a video on my first experience writing an online game. I wanted to teach you what I learned, what I could have done better, just give some insight on my experience. When I decided to make this project, I needed to think of a game. I'm not very creative, so I decided to build on an existing game. I needed something simple and light. One of the games that came to mind was Snake, which matched my preferences. Besides, I've never seen an online multiplayer version of it, so I thought, why not? To start off, let me give you some background information. So I decided to write this game in Java because I wasn't planning on taking this project too serious. It's more of a learning type of thing. However, large-scale games in Java are completely possible. An example would be Minecraft, which I'm sure all of you know already. Anyway, I started off just writing some essential classes that I needed. Some structures for the snake and food that it eats, a game loop, and a simple renderer. Let me show you what my first working program looks like. As you can see, it's really nothing special. It's just one moving square that moves at intervals. At this stage, it really is just a skeleton of the game. I did implement the ability for the snake to grow every time it eats food, as well as some collision detection with itself and if it goes out of bounds. The game at this point is very simple. The snake object really just holds a list of points of its location. Every time the first index of the list, which is the head, matches the same coordinates of the food, a new point is added on the end of the list, and the food gets any random location. Here, I want to show you how I checked for the self-collision of the snake. When I wrote this part of the code, I really wasn't thinking too hard. I just thought that at any given time, if any part of the snake matched the same location at any other part, then it self-collided. While the statement is true, we can simplify and make it a bit more elegant. The truth is, we don't have to check if every part of the snake collides with every other part. All we have to do is check if the head of the snake collides. If you think about it, it is impossible for a collision to happen on a snake without the head. Every body part of the snake follows the next. Therefore, there is no need to check all of that. While this change in code would be unnoticeable for the performance of a game this small, it is important to practice good habits as a programmer. After I had the simple stuff working, I decided to improve on the user interface. I made a simple menu with a play button and shifted all the objects of the game to the center. I added a simple counter so the user knew how many points they earned. I didn't like the fact that there was no pause button. Even more, that if the user tried to resize the window, the game would not render a lot of the window. So I made sure to fix all of that. Okay, so the game was looking decent enough. However, I still thought I wasn't ready to make it online. So I decided to make it multiplayer locally first. But first, let me show you some minor improvements I made on the single version. So for one, I added a pause indication in the center to let the user know the game has been paused. I also added a button on the bottom right to go back to the menu. So let's check out the two-player version now. So as you can see, the second player is spawned on the bottom right. So you actually control the first player, the red one, with the typical WASD keys on the keyboard, and you control the second player with the arrow keys. So I'm actually playing here by myself, so don't judge my gameplay too much. But yeah, as you can see, it works pretty well. They both have their own counter to tell their size. You can see the pause button here, working how is expected. And yeah, so it's looking pretty good. This is when I decided I thought I was ready for an online version of it. So I got started. I changed the title, added an online button in the play menu, and a field to enter the server address you want to connect to. This is when things started to get very difficult for me since I needed a game server and I had never written a server before. I didn't even do any research on how a server should properly work. I kinda just had an idea in my head and I trusted in myself I was going to be able to do it. This part of the project took me several hours to figure out. However, many gallons of coffee were put to good use, so I'm just going to cut to the chase and show you the current working game. So I loaded the server into my Raspberry Pi and made sure the port was open. I needed another computer to connect because this was a two-player game now, obviously. Now I didn't have another decent computer, so I decided to use my Microsoft Surface tablet. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't able to record the screen on my tablet, but there was a very noticeable delay. However, the game ran perfectly well on this computer, as you're about to see. So I'm just gonna take my chances and say it's just my underpowered tablet the reason it didn't work that well on that computer. So now I'm just typing in the server address on my tablet. The game's not gonna start until the second player joins. But as you can see here, the game runs perfectly well. Well, not completely perfect, but pretty well for my first time. But yeah, at this point I was pretty happy with the results. I'm going to post the source code in GitHub, so I'm gonna leave a link in the description for the Snake Game client and server. If you want to go look at the code and maybe change some things and learn a couple things yourself, you can go ahead and do so. I actually would encourage you to do so. But yeah, that concludes this video. If you guys have any ideas of other things I should work on, go ahead and post it in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.